What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Blakers Spirit channel. Oh, I'm finally back home. The last week and a bit has been absolutely mental. I'll put some videos and photos in this, but basically I've just come back from a work trip in Antalya, Turkey, and man, it was a busy week. So busy that I couldn't record any videos because I was like going to bed at like the early hours of the morning sometimes, but I freaking loved it. I love traveling anyway, and working as always is amazing. But I was basically just knackered every night. So yeah, but today I'm back at home, back in the UK, and I'm going to be talking about the Karate Combat 47 card that is coming up this week. I think that's on Friday the 28th in Orlando, Florida. I'm today just going to be quickly going over some of the fights that I'm most looking forward to. Not going to go into detail until I'm just very quickly. And yeah, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. Follow me on my socials to see what I'm getting up to. And now let's get into it. So starting off, one of the Influencer Fight Club fights of the night. They've actually put it on the card this time. Normally they do these after the main Karate Combat fights, but these guys, they're probably the biggest guys I've had doing it. It is Ben the Bane Davison versus Most Wanted. Ben the Bane Davison, he's a bit like me. He does like combat sports things. Obviously he's way bigger than me. And like he's fought on Misfits once before against Anderson Silva's son, and he's going up against Most Wanted. I don't really know what he's known for. I've just seen him on Misfits a couple times, and if you follow Misfits, you know that he was the guy that caused the chaotic like main event pull out, where he pulled out because he got stage fright against Fox the G, and it ended up just being what was meant to be a 2v1 with Fox the G. Ended up being like just a normal 1v1 with a guy called Evil Heroes, who, you know, Fox G was just far better. It was a terrible night. It was one of the worst nights for Misfits. But these two are now meeting in the pit. Going to be really interesting to see like two bigger influencers. I mean, they're not massive, but they're more well known than I think some of the crypto guys have had. Next, I've got Gabriel Stankunas versus Gustavo Genao. Gabriel Stankunas, who's on the way to a world title shot for sure in the lightweight rankings before he came up against Kakramanov in the Vegas card, who came on short notice and knocked him out. Haven't seen him. I don't think we've seen him since. I'm trying to remember. I don't think we have. He's going up against this guy called Gustavo Genao. I could finally barely find anything on this guy. He's had one MMA fight. Pro, and that's one I could find on Topology and Sherdog. Then the next one, I've got Luis Melendez versus Jose Esparza. It's on the website that Esparza he has actually had one fight. He beat Jonathan Broad last year in a split decision, but yeah, hasn't fought in a long time. Luis Melendez, if you watch the Kickback card in January, he was the guy that pieced up that Ferrari bloke, and he won himself the contract of Karate Combat. Really good performance. He's like proper karate. Literally started it when he was 3 years old. His parents, both karatekas, they actually met in a dojo. He's represented Puerto Rico in Taekwondo like hundreds of times. And you saw in that fight, he's super skillful. And he's young, but for sure he's at least at the very minimum, in my opinion, going to be a world title challenger at the very minimum. But I really think he can go all the way to the top. So I'm expecting him to go through this Esparza guy in that one. Then next one I've got down is Arturo Vergara versus Joe Penafiel. Joe Penafiel, like a journeyman kind of MMA fighter. He's got more wins than losses, but he's lost loads of fights recently. He's coming off a win on bare knuckle MMA in Gamebred, Jorge Masvidal's company. But before that win earlier this year, he was on like a 4 or 5 like losing streak in MMA and bare knuckle MMA. But I mean, he'll probably be earning the most money he's earned in a long time. He hasn't really fought in any like big promotions. I think he fought in this one called Cage Titans, I think, and some other like not underground, but you know what I mean, just smaller promotions. Arturo Vergara, he's smashed it. He's had 2 fights, 2 wins, Karate Combat, both knockouts. Absolutely smashed it. Again, he's a bit like Melendez. I think he can go to the top. And then finally, the main event: Rafael Alves versus James Vick, 2 UFC veterans. Rafael Alves obviously had that win against Escudero in the Mexico City card. I remember thinking that was a really weird performance with him. I had to be injured in that, because I remember he would like fight in like really frantic bursts and he'd like do nothing just for like the remainder of the round. He scraped past Escudero on that just because he wasn't throwing enough. I'm sure he must have been injured in that, but he still got the win. So it was a very strange performance. And James Vick, he's a UFC veteran. He was actually in the Ultimate Fighter final against Michael Chiesa all those years ago. He lost it, but he didn't matter, because then he won when he got called up to a fight night, and he was in the UFC for a few years. He won 9 fights, 1 loss in like 1 or 2 years. I can't remember off the top of my head. And the only loss was to Beneil Dariush. But then he fought Justin Gaethje, and 2018 Justin Gaethje was, he was an absolute madman. I remember he was one of the first UFC fighters I watched when he knocked out Don Cerrone. But James Vick fell victim to that crazy, super wild striking of Justin Gaethje, and ever since then he just lost pretty much nearly all of his fights in the UFC since then. So yeah, but James Vick, both these guys got a lot of experience in MMA. Alves will probably have the better experience just because he did a lot of Muay Thai. But we've seen experienced MMA guys in this, a la Sam Alvey against Ross Levine, be successful in the pit. So this one could be a bit of a slugfest. Those ones that you see in MMA, it could get dragged into that. But it should, and I think that's why they've put it as the main event, because it's not the most star-studded card Karate Combat I've done, and I think that's why there's lots more fights on it, because I think they're just hoping that some of those fights catch fire, but also to like build stars like Melendez, Vergara, Montalvan, Loxby Montalvan. He's another one I forgot to mention. He's training his arse off. I follow him on Instagram, and he trains. Judging by his stories, he's taking Karate Combat very, very seriously, training all the time for it. So he's another one to look out for. But that's it. Those are the fights or fighters that I'm most looking forward to on this card. Let me know in the comments down below which fight or fight you're most intrigued in. I'll do a prediction video later on in the week. But yeah, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe, let me know what you think about what I said in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.